Testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try to become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Hi, welcome to Outside the Manosphere. I'm Skip.
And I'm Carlos.
How are you doing this week, Carlos?
I'm disoriented this week. I've got a couple days off, and I haven't seen you in this is the second week now because you're on vacation. But feeling my way. What about you?
Yeah, I'm a bit disoriented as well. And I really missed talking to you last week. But we were up in Yosemite, so there was not enough juice in the park for broadband and stuff like that. So it was really fun, though. Yeah.
Where are you at right now?
I am in a closet in Lake Tahoe.
Yosemite and Lake Tahoe, man. I miss
Yeah,
California, dude.
It's
California's-
rough. Yeah.
How long have you been there?
We got here yesterday. We came from Yosemite. We had like one night off between families because we were with my family, and now we're with Jess's family. So we had one night in like a hotel where we went and saw the new Superman movie and chilled out, and that was then we're right back into family.
So I'm interested in all that without going into a comic book tangent. Not a you problem, an us problem.
Impossible.
And without spoiling anything, how was Superman?
It was good.
Was it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I keep saying good things about it, and like how people are on the right are reacting to it, which is pretty funny.
It is pretty funny, especially because there's a lot of stuff that's prescient, but like when you realize how long it takes movies to be made, like
Right.
all this story and all this filming was done a long time before a lot of political events happened. So it's not James Gunn's fault that the GOP is literally following evil villains from comic books plot lines.
That's funny.
So yeah, like people are upset because they're calling it woke, but it's a really standard kind of like villainous arc. There's normal villainous things. It just happens to be that Trump and his people happen to be enacting some of the same villainous plots. It's like,
That's
oops.
funny.
Well, that's just foresight, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. There's so many things that are out right now that I want to see that I probably will just wait until it's on. I can put it on my TV, but yeah, I'm slowly getting through Thunderbolts, not because I'm not interested in it, but because it's on one of the stations, the ambulance stations. And so whenever there's like a slow moment, I'll put it on and I'm just like, I'll get like 10, 15 minutes in and then I got a call or something. We got to go. But,
Yeah.
So I'm slowly getting through it, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Well, I've always been a Superman fan, so this is a special time for me.
Right.
Yeah,
I became
a good Superman movie.
I was always a Batman guy, and then I briefly became a Superman guy, and then I became a Flash guy, which is an unusual sort of, not so much, I guess, it got popularized on like Netflix and stuff, but before that, Flash was always kind of a secondary hero. But anyway, we should move on from this subject.
We probably should, because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk about it forever.
So what else you got? What else you got planned in the States?
Let's see. We're at Lake Tahoe for a couple days for Jess's sister's birthday. And then we're going to be in Reno, which is where we both lived together for a while. Not together, but at the same time in college. Right. So seeing some old friends, and then down to Las Vegas where her parents live, and then we'll be out. So we got some more traveling to do, more catching up.
This is like a month or so trip, yeah?
3 weeks of hot summer.
Well, it's nice that you're moving around too, because actually, yeah. So I just booked after seeing the pictures you sent me of you guys, and I was in Yosemite. Yeah. I was like, man, I got to go somewhere. So yeah, I booked like right away. I was already thinking about it, and then when I saw you guys and how like enjoyable that looked, I'm like, all right. And so I booked my flight to Austin in a couple months, and I'll be there though for like 10 days though. So at least you're moving around, because the last time I was in Austin was a few years ago. And by the end of like the 7th day, I was like, I'm ready to go back. Not because I wasn't enjoying myself, but I was just like, I wanted to go home. You know what I mean?
But that's a nice
And
feeling to
yeah,
be ready
yeah,
to be done.
it is, because I've always had like not homesickness really at all, but just like a mild sort of like, oh yeah, this in Austin, the food in Austin,
Yeah.
this area in Austin. And when I got there last time, I was like, yeah, this place is not even recognizable to me anymore. So it was like I was ready to go. It was no problem. And so that was a really nice sort of like I don't know, cathartic visit for me.
Yeah. So what food do you miss the most? I know Mexican, but
Specifically Tex-Mex. Specifically
mhm.
Tex-Mex, yeah, because it's like cheesy and like high sodium and just bad for you. And I was telling Jody, she asked me that very thing. She's like, "What restaurants are you already making a list of the restaurants you want to go to?" And I was like, "Well, my sisters and my mother, they'll probably like have some good ones that I'm not even aware of anymore, or not anymore, that weren't around before." But for me, like 100% Mexican slash Tex-Mex. But for me, it doesn't really matter where the what restaurant we go to, because every Mexican slash Tex-Mex place down there has complimentary chips and salsa like when you arrive, and to me that is the where I want to be. Like it's got to have good salsa, good chips, and if it doesn't, like I just don't want to be there. I want to have I want to have the good stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's the demarcation. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, we feel the same way. There's like always when I'm coming here, there's not a ton of things in the US that I miss, but there's like certain restaurants and certain food, and I have a list. And then with Mexican food, it's just like, oh yeah, all the Mexican places are
Yeah,
good.
all of
So
it.
we'll just go to we'll just go to one of those. And then yeah, in Yosemite, because we crossed into Yosemite and it was just like instantly revitalizing. I went there a lot when I was a kid, but it's just to swear, a little warning, little swearing. It's so fucking beautiful. It's
Yeah.
it's just a gorgeous place, and you get the smell of the pine and the dirt, and we got to go hiking every day, even if it was just a short hike, and it felt so nice. It was so lovely to be there.
Yeah, dude, California is a breathtaking state. Like from north to south, it's a beautiful place. And like I had mentioned before that I had ridden my bicycle from San Francisco to almost to Texas, and one of the best, well, really like the best part of it completely was going from San Francisco to LA, because I went down the PCH, the
Hmm.
Pacific Coast Highway, which is just right. It's
Hmm.
on a cliff and it's right along
Yeah.
the ocean the whole way. And dude, it was just breathtaking. It was the most beautiful like trip I'd ever taken, I think, and it was just day in day out. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, we've got a lot of beautiful land there. Jess and her dad and her family always, they're from Nevada, so they always have like a little bit of a inferiority complex. Californians,
Ah,
Californians. Sorry, it's so beautiful. I don't know.
yeah, that's so funny.
There's so many. I mean, like California is so huge. Like just like Texas, it's bigger than most countries in the world. So like, yeah, there's so much variety and range. But like, yeah, in that range, there's just there really is a lot of beauty.
Isn't it like the number four number, like the fourth in economies like around the world
I
right
think
now?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's like
think by
massive.
itself, it's like the fourth largest economy in the world.
Yeah, it's bananas to me that it's a sliver of a state within a
Yeah.
country. But no, I was gonna say like I had never noticed a greater like wealth inequity though than I saw in California, where you have like slums and people just out of their minds with abject homelessness or drug use or whatever, and then you walk 3 steps and then you're in like a mansion zone with like gated walls, and you can't even see past the shrubbery and stuff, and but there's like a palace right beyond.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
No, yeah, I've had that experience walking across the U.S. in one or two places, but Baltimore really shines in my memory because I was just walking and I was walking through. Basically, yeah, it was like a real downtrodden kind of area, and like a guy came up to me on the street and he's like, "You got to watch out! People are hitting people in the back of the head with bats and 2x4s and stealing their stuff." And I looked like a homeless guy, so I was like, I'm not too worried about people wanting to steal my stuff. But I went like another block, and I was at Mansions, and that was actually where I was staying because apparently a friend of mine was. I didn't know this because we knew each other in Prague. Her family was very wealthy, and I had no idea. So I was staying with her family, and I had a whole floor on this house to myself that night, and it was just like, whoa, man, just like a block difference. Just wild
Yeah.
inequity.
It's all through at least the state of California. Just I mean, within San Francisco, it's like every other neighborhood. Like literally you walk through one block and it's slums, and then by the next block it's palatial. It's yeah. But then I noticed that through like communities and stuff where like because I didn't look homeless. I was clearly doing something as well on my bike. But yeah, some of these communities I went through were just extraordinarily clean, extraordinarily wealthy. Every single like home that I would pass is like, this looks well out of my price range. But anyway, that's the nature of that's our capitalist system, or not our capitalist system. It's the American capitalist system.
So while I'm in America, because we didn't want to carry a bunch of books around, we got Jess's parents to go to the library and pick out some books. And the book that I chose Blood Meridian because I remember you saying it was your favorite book.
It remains one of my favorite books.
All right. I want to hear a little bit about this. I'm having a hell of a time. It's a rough book. It's hard. Yeah.
So the thing with Blood Meridian is, it's written by Cormac McCarthy, who passed away, I think, just a few years ago. It is hard to describe, and it's a book that I've read several times, and I still, honestly, I don't fully get it. Like, there's a new interpretation of it every single time I read it. But what I love so much about it is the language that he uses and the imagery that he creates in your mind, and the sort of like, there's not even like an element of good versus bad in Blood Meridian. There's like bad versus really bad in Blood Meridian. So it's a dark and pretty negative book.
Oh yeah, it's very dark.
Yeah,
I mean, there's more dead people than there are pages.
Yeah. It's definitely a book for people who appreciate literature and not just sort of like right now I'm reading a couple of sci-fis, and they're fun. I can put them down and forget about them for a couple of weeks and pick it back up and be like, read a page again, just see where I was at, and then you move forward. This is one that you kind of have to actively read and not just sort of, take it with you on the beach. Well, yeah, whatever. Everyone reads differently, but like for me, I got to focus on it when I'm reading it. But it's a Western, loosely following real people, actually, that would scalp Native Americans for like a ransom from like
right,
governments,
or
like
something
like from what's the word I'm looking at? From like towns. They would, just to keep the area safe, they would kill X amount of natives and bring their scalps in. They get paid per scalp or whatever. But they were like, they become gangs, and like this sort of, won't be spoiling it really, but this gang just sort of devolves into just like barbaric behavior, and they're no longer just scalping Native Americans. There's anyone with like dark features, they'll get them. You know what I mean? And they're doing it for the money, and they're kind of influenced by this sort of devilish character, which I don't know if you've called the Judge. I don't know if you've
the Judge is in the first chapter. I haven't run back into him again. The Judge was like his intro to the book. He was basically just like threw a hand grenade into a room and walked away, and then like had a drink, and he was like, "Oh, it was just for jokes."
Well, yeah, and so there's a lot of like amoral behavior in the book, and I don't know when it is in the book where it goes over when the gang first ran into the Judge, and I don't want to mess it up, but he was like, and this isn't really spoiling anything, but they just came upon him like in the desert, and he was like perched on a rock by himself out there, and it follows all the same sort of like Nathaniel Hawthorne sort of supernatural enter the devil in this, and like the hero comes upon the villain and then accepts his help, and that's sort of accepting the sort of devil into your heart or whatever. And it's all it all follows like biblical stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I've been asked Jody about, because like there's a burning bush in it at one point. I'm like, that's biblical, but I can't remember why or what it means exactly.
Right.
So lots of stuff like that. It's just really the imagery and the language is just, I mean, for as horrible as it is, it's beautiful. He was an amazing writer.
Yeah, the language is very dense, and it's very of the time that he's trying to write in. So like there's times where you come upon words and you're like, what is that? And you have to look things up. And then he doesn't do quotations, and he doesn't put apostrophes and contractions. And I like, there's a part of me that I'm reading that and I'm like, is he trying to slow us down? Is that what he's trying to do so that we're paying attention more? And but yeah, it's the language is really good. But yeah, it's hyper violent. And like I every time I read a chapter, I'm like, man, if people died this fast in the Old West, there wouldn't have been Old West. But
Yeah, I mean, it's not
yeah,
realistic in a lot
yeah,
of ways, but what you're describing when he doesn't use quotation and doesn't
yeah,
punctuate
yeah.
the way that's that was I'm guessing he was just kind of following the modernist trend of like William Faulkner and Virginia Woolf, like way back when.
Mhm.
Because if you read like, oh, what was the one, The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner, which is great also. It's kind of the same vibe where he shifts from periods of the main characters' lives, and he does it from like three different perspectives. There's like a brother, I think a sister, and then like a simpleton, quote unquote, who's and he does it from each of their perspectives, and he also moves from time, and you don't realize like, oh, I'm 30 years now into the future until you like sort of piece it all together, but like it's just as confusing. And I just haven't. I guess that's kind of my genre. I guess modernist literature, because I wouldn't call his stuff postmodern, but I would call it modernist. Yeah, because he plays with, well, not time, but he plays with the language a lot, and I've only really seen that with like Faulkner, I think.
Well, I'm only a few chapters in, but I'm looking forward to reading it while I'm here and getting to know you a little bit more through some of your choices.
Prepare to be confounded, because yeah,
I'm ready. I'm always ready to be confounded.
that's a good one. Maybe yeah, I should pick it up too and start rereading it. I found that like if you've got a Kindle or something or some kind of e-reader, it's really helpful because yeah, I had to look up a lot of words too, and some of them even like the dictionaries that are preloaded into those things, they're like that's archaic or whatever. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so you won't find out everything.
Yeah, no, the first chapter, yeah, his style was such. I've been fine after the first chapter, but the first chapter, I had to like look up a little Cliff Notes version because I wasn't even sure sometimes which character he was talking about, and I was like, all right, I got most of that, okay. And then every chapter after that, I've been good. But like, yeah, it's dense. It's like there's a lot of. I feel like every chapter starts with like some dense prosaic prose stuff where there's a lot of like mood and scene building, and then he moves on to the action and yeah, it's interesting stuff. I have if you have something else to say, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, unless you're going to change subjects.
I was going to, so yeah.
Okay, real quick. I was also reminded of I just reread for the umpteenth time the Once and Future King. I've
always wanted to read that because it's in X-Men. But
oh yeah, it's really really good. It's wonderful actually. But it's I've read it a bunch of times with paperback. Funny story actually. I was hitchhiking once and I had it. I'm going to come back to all this by the way. I had it like in my bedroll, which was like right above my head, and I had it strapped with like a big elastic band so you could see it and I could just reach out and grab it without taking my backpack off. And I went into a hotel in like Nebraska or something, and it was dark and it was nighttime, and I walked up to the desk, and there was a woman sitting there reading the exact copy of the Once and Future King, and I was like, hey, and I like pointed up to my bedroll, and she was not impressed, but like I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, what a coincidence. But what
she's
I wanted
like,
to
you're
say,
the third guy this day. You know?
yeah. She's like, it's not happening, bro. So I've read it a few times, but with a physical copy, and this was the first time I read it because my other copy was a paperback that just exploded after having it for so long. So I had a digital copy and I was reading it, and so for the first time I was like kind of not being lazy and looking at words that I didn't know, and there were like whole pages. I'm like, I'm looking up every other word. Like I don't know what these words are. How in the hell did I get through this book so many times without knowing what I'm reading? So
That's
have a dictionary handy with that one. Not for every chapter, but like, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it. It's a great book. You should read it.
All right, yeah.
Now you were going to change the subject.
I was going to change the subject. So there was something else that I've been wondering about periodically, but I forget to ask you. And then Jess and I brought it up to each other on this trip because we're moving around a lot, sleeping in a lot of strange beds where now that we're in middle-aged, you get used to a certain bed. And if you sleep in a different bed, your back is just kind of like tight. But you and Jody used to sleep on the floor once a month. Do you still do that?
Did we do that? No, I don't remember doing that.
You don't remember doing that? Because we both remember you guys talking about doing that. And
I'll have to ask her. I don't remember at all. I've slept
Okay.
on some floors in my life just because I'm like, that's my life.
Yeah.
But I don't remember forcing Jody into that sort of thing. I don't remember. Maybe I'll have to ask her. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But no, we don't. But we don't do that now. So to answer your
Okay.
question,
Yeah.
yeah. And now we
Yeah.
have like, we got
I
a nice bed now.
I could have sworn, and so did Jess. Thought this too, but that you said you slept on a floor once a month just to like straighten out your back or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe we had a
But
really shitty bed in Prague, so that is probably true. But
okay.
maybe it was just like maybe it was a fad or something we were doing, and we were like, oh, we do it once a month, and I don't know, I can't remember.
Okay.
So yeah, it doesn't happen.
That was my question. Anyways, like it's just really nice to talk with you. I was finding that I really missed chatting with you. But in addition to that, some of our episodes have gotten into other subjects and away from us just chatting and falling in love with each other. And while I like talking about those things, I really missed just hearing more about you. And we had an episode a little while ago where I did a lot of the talking, and me and Jess were both like, I talked too much. I
No,
wanted to hear
really?
more. I wanted to hear more from Carlos. Yeah,
No, but it's usually the other way around. So was it the Skip Unleashed one? Is that the one you're talking about?
it may have been. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one it was, but you were very passionate in one of the episodes, and I was glad because usually it's me like being the loudest person in the room, it's nice to share that mantle with someone else. Anyway, I didn't think it was too much. I thought it was just right, Skip.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we should say that we didn't meet last week because you had just got into. Oh, I guess we said so, but you're in Yosemite. You were in Yosemite. Internet
Yeah.
was bad, so we just kind of scrapped last week. And this week, in lieu of kind of choking this episode with a ton of structure, we'll probably do like the love questions or something. But otherwise, yeah, we'll just have a loose conversation and just enjoy this this vacation you're having.
Reconnection. Yeah, a vacation from a lot of things, but I don't want a vacation from this.
Although I will say, and by the time this one is released, the other one would have been released as well. I really enjoyed listening to your talking about your walk across the U.S. That was really. I mean, it was nice, like in the moment. But then again, I just finished editing it the other day, and hearing it, I'm like, man, that was really cool. That was legit new information that I didn't know about you, and it was something I could really really relate to. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
I would really like, and I don't know, I don't have any like specific. I'd love to hear some stories from your hitchhiking times, but I don't know what questions to ask to get them. So I just want to hear some stories. Um,
Okay, one that just popped in my head was I had just crossed over. Me and my friend Craig had just separated. He went east and I went west in I forget the name of the Colorado town, but it was right on the Utah border. And I crossed into Utah and I was a little ways in and it was dark or it was getting dark and I was in the same spot and nobody was picking me up and I had stopped walking because normally I wouldn't just chill and hitchhike. I would walk and walk and walk. But I had stopped because I'd found a good spot that I was going to go to sleep if nobody would pick me up. Usually by dark I would stop hitchhiking because I didn't want to get killed or by a car or by a maniac. And so I'd stopped hitchhiking and it was getting dark. And finally this guy picked me up and his name was Dana, which is the first Dana I've ever met as a man. And yeah, he was like full of cocaine and marijuana and was railing against like the Mormons because he was like, oh, they were never going to pick you up. And that's why I stopped. And so I was telling him what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't want to stop in a city because if I stopped in a city, I'd never get out of the city. And by the end of the trip, he was driving to Las Vegas. He convinced me just to go with him to Las Vegas. Like, oh, if you come with me to Las Vegas, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. So we went to Las Vegas. And I got there like 2 a.m. and he just dropped me off in the middle of the city. He was like, all right, later. You convinced me to come here. I have nowhere to go. So he just dropped me off in the middle of Las Vegas.
That's
And I was
hilarious.
able to find like this little hotel that was like, it was just the bed. That's all that would fit in the room. Super overpriced. Dropped off my stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving in the morning. So I walked around at night because it was lively even in the middle of the night. I was 20, so I couldn't gamble, but like I just walked through nobody was going to stop me anyway. So I just walked all through the casinos and just kind of, looked around. And in the morning, I walked all the way to the freeway and spent hours and hours and hours with my thumb in the air on the freeway trying to get a ride. Nobody would pick me up. It was super hot. And I was just like kind of resigned that I was going to walk out of Las Vegas. And then my pervert picked me up. I don't know if I'd mentioned him.
I don't think so.
Oh, I did. He was the guy who I didn't specify the details, but like he picked me up looking for a good time. I think he was a nice guy. He was dressed nice. He had a nice car, but he was looking for some loving. I think I know. And anyway, I shut that down. I won't go into I could go into the details later on. It's funny actually, but when I shut that down, like I was like, what do I do? Should I like ask him to pull over? I'm like, but I've been walking for hours and hours. so, so, so we just kind of drove in silence for like a half hour. And then like, he was nice. Like, I was like, all right, well, thanks for the ride. He's like, yeah, have a good day. And it was fine. But, yeah, it was a really, really awkward, quiet ride for a long time. But in hindsight, I think about all the times, because I was only 20 years old, and I think about all the times that men and definitely a couple of women as well who would pick me up, the sexually suggestive things they would say to me, and I just went right over my head. I'm like, oh, that's nice, and just total Pollyanna. And even with this guy, like looking back to what I had said to him, I'm like, oh yeah, I invited his advances by like the wild-eyed wonder that I was like after. And it's like, oh yeah, he thought I was looking for like new experiences and stuff because I told him that. So yeah, when I look back on the things that I would say to some of these people, I'm like, well, yeah, no wonder they were hitting on me because.
Well, that's hilarious. Yeah, I only hitchhiked once on my trip, but the guy that I hitchhiked from said he almost didn't pick me up because he'd picked up a hitchhiker once before, and she had offered him sexual favors for having picked her up. So I think it might be a fairly common thing.
Oh yeah,
that maybe we just weren't aware of, but obviously I wasn't interested in that, and he wasn't interested in that. And, yeah,
no, dude, I bet you. But that's what I'm saying though. Is he might have been by him bringing it up. He was creating the atmosphere for you guys to talk about it. You know, and I'm not saying that's necessarily the case with him.
Yeah.
But like that happened a lot with me, and like when I would think about it, oh yeah, they brought that up so that we could have a conversation about it. And maybe not in your case, but that was definitely
I don't
mine.
think so. This was an Irish guy, and he was very like he almost didn't pick me up because he said I didn't want anything like that to happen again. I was very upset by it. I haven't picked up a hitchhiker in years. Like I just the impropriety. Of course, he was the impropriety, you know. and and I taught him about Kismet and trail magic, and he was like, yeah, this is he was like, this is exactly what I needed to like reaffirm my faith in humanity, to pick up somebody that didn't offer to blow me. And I was like, well, glad to oblige. That's very easy.
You're like, but just so you know, the offer's on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found also that, so I also went from Vancouver, British Columbia, all the way to Quebec with my then girlfriend, and I found a whole different menu of people that would pick us up when there was a couple. And I guess I'm specifically a woman with me because truckers almost never picked me up when I was by myself. When I was with a woman, they picked me up. And I got picked up by quite a few women. I got picked up by more women when I was with her. And one lady even said, like, the only reason I picked you up, she's like, no offense, Carlos. She's like, but I only picked you up because of her. I'm like, yeah, okay. I get it. I know what I am.
So we've been doing car trips lately, you know, around the US. So we went from Vegas to Yosemite, and Yosemite to Lake Tahoe, and my youngest always wants to talk. He just like wants to talk constantly. And so we've been trying to do some of these questions, and one of some of these 36 questions to fall in love. And one of them that we have already done was, do you have a secret hunch about how you'll die? Without a beat, my 8-year-old goes, dehydration.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Why did he have a reason for that?
Well, we always tell him he doesn't drink enough water, but it was just like so out of left field, you know, like you're really not expecting your 8-year-old to say he's going to die of dehydration.
That's really specific.
It was very specific, and it was pretty funny. Yeah. And then we started doing other questions that we make up. And I don't know if you would enjoy these at all, because our family enjoys them a lot, but they're all about like choices, you know? So one of the questions we came up with is, this is a choice. You can do this or not. if you could be the most elegant, knowledgeable, perfect speaker all the time, but there was a certain word, and you get to pick what the word is, but it has to be a word that people could theoretically use. But if somebody spoke that word or you ever heard that word, you just shat your pants immediately. but you the rest of the time, all the time, you were just incredibly well spoken and you always sounded great. But yeah, but you get to pick the word, so like, obsequious or something like that.
Right.
And if you hear that, you shit your pants. Like, is that a deal or no deal?
If I get to pick the word,
Yeah.
absolutely a deal. Definitely, because I could spend some time in adult diapers and just take care of that right away. But if I get to choose the word, yeah, you can come up with something. What about if I read the word? Would that do it too, or I
Yeah,
had to
yeah, that
actually
that
hit?
would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, just when you encounter the word, not inside your head, but like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think I would take that. I think I would take that bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jess and I both said yes as well.
Really?
Which I guess says something about our vanity, but or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be thought of as intelligent and well spoken, even if I'm shitting myself.
With my luck, I'd be like at a podium with like an audience or something when it happens.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways,
what
so
the boys say? What the boys say?
um, I think the boys said no, but I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
But yeah, but we just picked like a random word, just picked verdant, and it was as we're entering Yosemite, so of course we said verdant like a million times. But how do you feel? Should we fall in love?
Let's fall in love. Let's see where we're at. Because I mean, that was a good question as well. That was a
Yeah.
nice little fun exercise. But let's fall in love with our scheduled love questions.
All right. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
Ooh, let's see. Well, could I do like a blanket? I would use 100% of my brain. That could be something. I don't know. I don't know what that would happen. I don't know what would happen, but that could be something. Well, you know what? I'll switch it around. And I'm going to steal a friend of mine's answer to this question that I'm warping now. And the question was, and you can ask the same question to yourself, not with the one I'm going to ask if you don't want.
Sure.
If you could have a superpower, like what would it be? And my superpower was always like, oh, I would fly. I would fly. But I asked that question of a friend of mine, and he like extended his hands in front of him, was like to heal. And I'm like, wow, that's a great answer. So if I could wake up tomorrow with a new ability, it'd be to heal because yeah, I can't imagine a better skill to have, just to heal with your hands.
Certainly would work with your job very well.
Sure. Or
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have a job. I would just be sitting at home
Yeah.
and there'd be a line of people like
Right.
to Afghanistan,
Bringing offerings to the
Yeah.
perfectly loquacious guy
I,
that.
I would definitely be up on a raised platform of some kind with a
Yeah.
chair and attendants. And I would decide if I'm going to heal that day or not.
Be very benevolent but fickle.
You just never know what you're going to get. Well, so
Yeah.
what about you? If you could wake up tomorrow with something, what would it be?
Oh, I think, like, I've got really good willpower in some things, and other things like food I'm just terrible at. So I think I just want like I'd want to have blanket willpower, like
Okay.
where I have the same willpower in some things as I do in most other things. So I think that would improve my life greatly.
You
Um,
know what though? I kind of associate all these with like wishes, like to a genie or something.
sure.
And so whenever I think, and I do think of these things, as I have a 12-year-old brain apparently. When I think of these sort of things, I think of all like, oh, the devil's is in the language that you use. So like, okay, if I have all the willpower in the world, does that mean I'm going to be impossible to stop when someone's like, please, like, I don't want any more of this? I'm like, no, you have to, and I won't stop because my will is so powerful that it'll be unstoppable. You know what I mean?
But I don't want to lessen my empathy or anything. So it's
Yeah.
just like, just take
But
care of those weak moments.
that
Yeah.
could be a consequence of having
Sure. Sure.
the best
Sure.
willpower. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. Like you make a deal with something kind of entity, and you never know what you're going to get.
True. It's true.
So I'm just saying, be careful with your wishes, Skip.
Well, yeah. So going back to the superhero thing, I always I find most people say fly because flying would be really neat.
Oh, I have a
But
comment on that afterward. Go ahead.
okay, but I also think that if you could fly, eventually you'd just be like, well, this is just like flying. This is just the thing I do. So one of the things that I've
What do you mean? What do you mean?
because part of the attraction of flying is I'm flying, you know.
Yeah, so you just be
But
bored
if
by it.
you, if you're just like I'm flying, and this is like walking, it's like running, it's it's a thing
Right.
that I do. It's kind of neat, whatever. Um, it's just the way I get to the store.
It's like, yeah, I can fly, whatever.
Yeah. So my answer, like teleportation, would be obviously great, but my answer has been super speed,
Okay.
like flash super
Right.
speed,
Yeah.
because it's similar to teleportation because you can get wherever you're going really really fast. But also, if you had like a physical manual job, you could do like all your work for the year in like a week, and then just like go on vacation, you know.
Well, and also if you really like drill down on the Flash's powers, like he could like run through time and he could like run through walls and things,
Sure,
and
sure.
but he had to eat a lot because of
Yeah, that
high
doesn't sound bad
metabolism.
for me. That's that willpower thing.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I think super speed is always there's always like some clever thing. But my little son that likes to talk so much, he said that his power, he'd want to be able to help people. And I was like, "Oh
Oh, that's
man,
nice.
you always got to answer something that makes me feel like shit, you know?"
You're like, I'd fly and I would run fast so I could do
Yeah,
stuff
he,
quickly.
he always asks questions like, if you could just help any one person, and but they can't be in your family, who would it be? And it's like, oh man. Um, but he's always like, that's his power. He's like, you can help somebody unlimited, and I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, that's
Well, those are
pretty
good
nice.
thoughts. Those are
Those
good
are
thoughts
great
that he's
thoughts.
got.
They are great thoughts, and we're always encouraging about them.
Yeah.
Like that's really lovely. You're a really nice boy. He's like he always shares and stuff with everything, even candy, which is crazy for an 8-year-old. But
My candy.
yeah, no, he's like just a very generous, loving kid. But it also is like, oh man, I was being so selfish. Just wanted to I just wanted to get my work done. I wanted to run to Mexico for a really good burrito.
And carry two back with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. The thing that I wanted to say was I don't know what I was listening to. It was This American Life or something. This was years ago, and they were interviewing. I think it was the comedian John Hodgman. I think it was
Hmm.
him,
Okay.
and he was saying for a long time what he would do was like at parties he would ask people, if you could have one superpower, what would it be between flying or being invisible? Like he would ask, those are the two powers you got, which would it be? And he would do that just as like an icebreaker at parties and stuff. But what he found was that
Creepy people chose invisible.
no, women chose to be invisible. Women chose
Oh,
to be
okay.
invisible more than men, and men chose to fly more than women. I mean, there was overlap, but like you said, the majority of the genders were women were invisible, men could fly. So I always found that really interesting, and he did too, I guess. But yeah, surely there's some psychology there that to unpack.
Well, I mean, I think the male gaze and all that, it probably is just nice to not would be nice to be able to turn it off and not be seen, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That or it could be more nefarious.
It could be more nefarious.
But
And
then
that's
that's a
like
pretty shitty thing to say. I mean, I'm not saying that women have that like sort of predisposition to want to find out information or just be
right.
unseen so they could gather information. But it did cross my mind. I mean, it would have crossed
Well,
my mind if men did the same.
but that was my first thought was with when you asked me invisible, I was like, "Oh, it's going to be like creepy dudes that want to go to a locker room,
Yeah.
like a woman's locker room or steal from a bank." But then when you're like, "Oh, it's mostly women," I was like, "Oh, they just don't want to be gawked at." Like,
Yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense both ways. But yeah, dude, if a man said, "Oh, I wish I could be invisible," I'm like,
yeah,
what are you thinking of? You know what I mean?
exactly, yeah. So it's very funny that like those are the reactions that elicited. I don't know, for me anyway. I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh yeah, women just don't want
They're
to be
tired of the male
catcalled and
gaze.
things like."
Yeah.
I never wanted to be invisible. I thought it would be too scary. I'd be afraid I was going to get hit by a car or something.
I never wanted to be invisible because in all the invisibility lore, like you got to be naked to be invisible, and
Yeah.
I don't want to risk like a flicker of visibility, and I'm just standing there naked.
Yeah. Well, and I also wonder, and this is just from being this week and it being so hot, can you get sunburnt if you're invisible?
I don't know. I doubt it because like you have to absorb. I mean, it's stupid to be entertaining this thought anyway, but
No, these are
imagine
important things.
we're solving important questions here. Yeah, I'd say no. My answer to that is no. You cannot get sunburned.
All right.
But could you eat a cheeseburger? Could you see the food like being slid down your esophagus and into your belly, or does it go invisible once it's in you? I don't know.
I think I think I've seen this different ways. So like different ways in like shows where once it's inside you, it's invisible, or which leads to other smuggling questions. But or that like it starts to dissipate as it sort of gets into your like it starts to fade because it starts to become part of your system or whatever. But yeah, it would be pretty gross to watch somebody eat otherwise.
Well, I mean, it's depicted in various shows. You ever read any H.G. Wells?
I don't know if I have. I don't think I have, actually.
Oh man, I read a lot of H.G. Wells, and one of his books was The Invisible Man. I think he might have been the first one to create the genre. And and in that one, the scientist goes mad, as they often do in these stories. They're like, you don't know if it's like mad because of the concoction that he injected himself with or drank or whatever it was, or is he like drunk with power? You know what I mean? And drunk with like but he was like in the story, the man is terrorizing, I think, a woman with his invisibility, and he's like terrorizing her. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He's a good. H.G. Wells was, I mean, phenomenal. He was a very ahead of his time for the subject he was writing about.
Well, it would be pretty boring if he turned invisible and then just like acted normal.
Gardened or something.
Used his power to not stand in line at the store, but left the money anyway.
There you go. All right, Skip. Well, carrying on this sort of shapeless episode that we discussed, I'm going to ask you a question because we haven't really been asking each other many questions lately. I would like to know, as concisely as you can, I mean, or as concise as you feel comfortable, what are your thoughts on reality, on death, on spirituality? Because you know a hell of a lot of my thoughts on it. And I'm wondering, it occurred to me, I don't know what you think about what happens when we die, for example. And I don't know anything about that.
Boy, so when we die, I'd like to think that something happens, but I kind of think that nothing happens. And I struggled with this a lot when I was like in middle school. I got really depressed, and even into my freshman year of high school, just kind of going through existential crisis at 13. A little early for it, but yeah, like couldn't sleep at night because I was just like depressed and everything was meaningless. But the nice turnaround to that, if there's like, for me, if there's not like any afterlife or anything like that, and people would be like, well, there's no purpose to life. There's no, like, so if there is no like specific purpose to life, then, whatever you decide as your purpose is the most valid thing.
Right.
So that's kind of beautiful in and of itself. It's like you're the one that gives things purpose, and you decide what's important. And that means, if you decide that you want to be the best, ping pong player that ever lived, go for it, man. Like that, if that's what fulfills you, if that's what brings you joy, that's wonderful. But then like there's questions about morality and stuff, but if everybody's purpose is equally valid, then it kind of brings up its own morality, which is like your movements in the world should be maximally beneficial to everyone's purpose. And you shouldn't have a purpose you shouldn't have a purpose that is damning to other people's purpose. And you should be trying to help everybody kind of achieve a good, happy life, and whatever that happens to be, so long as it's not, impeding other people. So that's kind of where, like reality is a weird thing, and there's a lot of ideas about it, but, it's just like, it's a thing we do, and we do it for a while, and then we're done. So in that time, just trying to do as well as you can, do as much good as you can, and raise kids that are going to go out forth in the world and also have good direction and help people and think critically about the decisions they're making. And so that's kind of my concise version of I don't know, my spirituality or whatever. It's just kind of like trying to think about other people and not being a dick. Yeah.
Well, that was concise and very well articulated too. So bravo. But I will say, you reminded me with your 13-year-old existential crisis. I had the exact same thing. I was about 14 or 15 though, because I was raised kind of a lazy Catholic. And when I hit freshman biology, which is exactly what like the right's always saying, oh, you bring in biology, they lose faith or whatever. But when I saw evolution, I'm like, well, that makes so much fucking sense.
Right.
And then I kind of started questioning everything, and then I sort of I lost faith as well. And I remember going through a period of depression as well, just like being really unhappy. Like, what's the point? Like, why are we here? Like, there's nothing after we die. We're just gonna like rot. And again, it was like hard. It was a hard for early teenager to be thinking that way. But I also like what you're describing is what I've been my whole life, though. I mean, I've always felt the same way. I found that like now when I'm sort of removed from that sort of perspective and I think differently, I kind of regard like my place in that mindset, not necessarily yours or anyone else, because you sound very healthy when you're talking about it. But for me, I feel like it was like like in a movie where the protagonist is with a group or whatever and they know they're going to die, there's
Hmm.
no escaping the situation, and they're just waiting like it's about to happen.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of weeping or whatever. That's kind of how I viewed my entire existence before that, like, oh,
Sure.
we're just waiting to die now and there's nothing after that. And yeah, it was a really like that was a hard way to be as an adult even, you know what I mean? I never really had a lot of positive I didn't think about it all the time, but it was like a
Yeah. Yeah.
hard place
Yeah.
to be as an adult. Anyway, so yeah, so thanks for that. Now I kind of suspected that's where you were at too,
Yeah.
because we've been so similar for as long as we've known each other. I just kind of went a different direction, but like I wouldn't have expected anything other than
Yeah.
thinking the same way on the situation on the subject.
Well, it's interesting to hear you describe, and I think there was a period where I went through the same thing, where like, oh, this is just nothing, and we're waiting to die. But
Mm.
it's really fueled my my ADHD anti-ennui of life, where like when I feel stuck, I want to just like bust out. It's like I've got a limited time, and I want
Yeah.
to get as much shit in as possible. So like, if something's kind of stalled out, I'm like, I'm done with this. I got to move on.
Yeah.
I've gotten what I've got out of this situation. I need to go get, like more experiences and learn more. I want to like, I know it doesn't technically matter how much I learn, but like, I just want to learn as much as I
Yeah.
can and experience as much as I can. So it ends up being something that's fairly motivating. It's been fairly motivating in my life to not get me stuck in situations. And I'm always kind of like looking for ways to move on, or ways to alter my situation. I've always said I like to, instead of like trying to muddle through life, I like to try and engineer my life. So I like to try and engineer the way that my life interacts with other things, rather than just kind of having life happen to me.
Right. That's
um,
exactly what I was about to say.
which
Yeah.
so it's something that like that's part of why I moved to Prague. I thought I was just a depressed, angry person, and I was like, well, if I'm a depressed, angry person, I'm gonna go do it somewhere else, where I'm where I don't have to work a crappy job. And then I turned out I that wasn't really me. So just kind of I learned a lot from that, and just kind of like when things aren't working, shake things up and
Yeah.
don't be too afraid of it.
I have got the exact same philosophy, only I think mine was always kind of intrinsic. So like I never really decided that I was going to change things up. I was just like, I'm unhappy. I'm going to go do this now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just changed it. Like I wasn't happy, so I would do something else. And I've done
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of things. Because yeah, that unhappiness would always come creeping back at some point. But yeah, I would always just change it. And a friend of mine, I remember, I don't know, must have been talking about something similar, and it was, I kind of took it as a compliment. He's like, yeah, he's like, you really listen to that voice in your head. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
I guess I do. Yeah, I listen to the whatever's guiding me. I don't question it. I don't fight against it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to move to San Francisco, or I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to go do that thing, and yeah, it always pulls me out of a funk. Always.
Well, yeah, and to your woo mindset, I always found that when I felt like when I was making the right decisions in my life, the path would get cleared,
Hmm.
and things got harder for me. And like, the rational side of me is like, well, that's some kind of bias on my part or whatever.
Right.
But I always genuinely felt like I would happen upon the opportunities I needed if I was moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And when I knew I wasn't doing the right thing, I got bogged down and I got unhappy. And it's actually hard to live that life, I think, one for a while after you get kids. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to kind of like you're trying to set them on their right path at that point, which sometimes is in concert with your right path, but sometimes that ennui creeps in, and that makes it hard. But yeah, I think the kids are getting older, and I'm trying to shake things up a little bit and also not scare like my wife with instability.
Like, how about a Corvette?
Yeah. No, not a Corvette. I want to move like all the time. I'm always
Really?
like I want to move to Spain. I want to move to
Right.
Denmark. I just want to like shake things up, and that kind of talk is not optimal for feeling secure.
Right.
So like now I'm having to try and temper that and learn trying to figure out other ways to shake things up for us that make things more in line with I don't know, our visions of happiness, and also not like messing up our kids.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It
Well, yeah.
gets harder the more people on the team.
Well, you just need a few more years for the older one, and then you just have to focus on not screwing up the little one.
That's right.
Hey, have you ever thought this is a completely unplanned thing? But have you ever thought about? Not have you ever thought about? I've been thinking about going to Ireland at some point because it's like a 4 hour flight from here, and I was thinking at some point in the future we should plan. I mean, whether it's you, I guess you probably you can bring the whole family if you want, but if it's just you, we could go for a few days and high five and that's it.
We should totally do that. Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
And Jess ends up in Ireland a couple times a year, much to my chagrin, because she does all the she does all the traveling now.
Yeah,
But yeah, we should 100% do that, because
Oh, cool.
I think we were talking about going. She's got a conference or something that she's doing in Ireland in December, so we were going to be there. We were trying to decide if we're going to bring the whole family there in December.
Yeah,
But
nice.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
might
if
be a little fast for you, but we'll be back there.
it'll only be fast because I'm going to Austin in the next couple months, so
That's right.
it'll be like almost back to back. But also, I'd hate to leave Jody in the wintertime because it's just a lot of like in December it probably won't be too much snow on the ground, but like managing the house with like a ton of snow is a lot for
Sure.
one person. So
And she's not allowed into Ireland because of the criminal history, right?
well, yeah, that and then our dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hard to. That's why she's going on vacation next month, and then I'm going the month after. Just we're taking our own separate little trips. But yeah, just having three big dogs is
Yeah.
a real pain in the ass. Like I love them, but it's a big pain in the ass.
No, I hear that. We're on our last dog. She's a lovely dog, and we've got a guy that takes care of her whenever we're gone, so we're really lucky. But yeah, we're very conscious that this is probably our last dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we want to be able to move around once the kids are out of the house.
Well, I don't even mind having another one or two. They just got to be small. Like ours are really big, and they're a handful. But if you have like a couple small dogs, then it's not going to be that big a deal leaving them with somebody, or somebody will actually be okay with with taking two small dogs rather than three monsters.
So Carlos, I know from talking with you that you don't have any brothers, you have sisters, and you've talked a little bit about your mom and a little bit about your dad, but I really don't know that much about your family and your family life and connections, and I'd just like to hear a little bit about that, if that's all right.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. So both my parents are from Laredo, Texas, which is I've mentioned it before. It's right on the Mexican border in Texas. So they're of a unique Latin culture that isn't anywhere else. Like maybe in like Southern California or New Mexico, Arizona, but it's all along the border. That's like a special kind of culture. Yeah. So we moved up to Austin when I was about 5, and yeah, my parents split when I was. I feel like I've told you this. I feel like I've told you something like in a brief history. So
Brief
I guess
history, yeah.
yeah. So they split when I was 10, and yeah, I guess I can say that I've felt close to all of them in our own ways. My father maybe the least, just because he wasn't really around much when I was growing up. But I talked to my mother pretty often. I didn't talk to her a lot when I was in Prague. I didn't talk to anybody really much when I was in Prague, but I was a pretty unhappy human being there. But here I talk to my mom a couple times a week. I talk to my younger sister, I don't know, once, twice a week as well. And then her daughter, she just turned 14 a few days ago. She calls me all the time, which is really nice, having like a kid interested in like maintaining a relationship. And my older sister, I don't talk to directly quite as often, really that often at all. But like we're in each other's lives because like I talk to my mother a lot. She tells me what's going on and vice versa. And or my younger sister kind of keeps me up to date. But yeah, I don't talk to my dad too much. I have a third sister. She's my half sister from my father's first marriage. That I haven't talked to her in, I don't even remember. It's been probably 8 years or so. But yeah, we've never really had a relationship. She's 11 years older than me. But yeah, that's it. We grew up with a lot of animals. My mom always had. We had birds. We had dogs, cats, snakes, rodents, fish, all kinds of shit.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. So much so it's funny because I was talking to my friend who I grew up with, and I was like growling at the dogs because they were doing something, and he was laughing. He's like, "Man, it's so funny that you've become your mother." I'm like, "I know, dude. I got 3 dogs and 2 cats, and like I always swore I wasn't gonna have any pets, but yeah, here I am."
You know, you had talked. Well, you seem to have a real nice relationship with one of your sisters that listens to the podcast, and then you've just mentioned like your family a couple times, like you weren't sure if your mom listened, and there were things about your dad and some of the choices he's made, and I don't want to get into any uncomfortable areas, but I was just curious to hear more about those things. Like if we were in a bar, I'd probably be like,
Yeah, okay.
"What's that like?"
So my older sister is almost 3 years older than me. So growing up, I was a lot closer to my younger sister because my parents would like force my older sister to bring me along to places when we were really small. But so I spent more time with my younger sister than my older sister. And when we were kids, like we would finish each other's sentences. Like that's how like close we were. And yeah, we'd have like fights, like neighborhood fights with the boys, and
Okay.
she would always be my champion. Like I'd have her fight the boys. Yeah, it was the
Good
80s.
role model.
It was just the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always say I'd have her by her. I would joke that I'd have her by her collar and like her belt, and she'd be just like trembling in my hands, and I'd release her, and she'd go maul the kids. That didn't happen, but it was that sort of ridiculousness. Yeah, and so yeah, my father was, he had a pretty rough upbringing. He had an abusive father, and my father was never abusive to us, but he was a raging alcoholic, and he was a scary man when he'd be angry. So there's a lot of intimidation. I didn't even know he was an alcoholic till we got older because like he didn't like drink in front of us, but he was always drinking apparently.
Sure.
Or always binge drinking. Like if he'd go out, he wouldn't like moderate. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I mean, this is pretty personal. So I hope my mother's okay because I do think she listens every now and then. But anyway,
we don't have to. We
no,
can
I know,
also
I know.
cut this.
No, it's well, maybe I'll cut parts of it. But anyway, yeah. So they split up when I was in 1990, and yeah, man, it was pretty it shaped me, I guess, a lot. The way when they split, and life became a lot harder when there wasn't 2 parents. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. I think like I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about self-reliance, and I think we've said this before, but you learn through struggle. You don't learn through having everything handed to you. Yeah, yeah, I guess you can, but if you're astute enough.
Yeah.
But usually when things are handed to you, it's like you don't appreciate them. So yeah, I feel like having a tough life really shaped who I was and made me a better person. So I'm satisfied with my experiences, but yeah, I feel like I'm close to my sisters. I'm close to my mother. Good relationship. I feel like Jody she saw my relationship with my family and just kind of fell in love with it because she's close to hers. They're all loving and they're all good, but it's not quite the same sort of like. A good example is like the last time I was in Austin a few years ago. We were driving to Laredo, and we were in my mother's car, and it was me, my mother, my 2 sisters, and my niece. And maybe I mentioned this before in a previous episode, but like I was in like the first 10 or 20 minutes, the entire car was arguing, and it was like it was like 5 a.m. We were just like squabbling the whole way, and then it
Yeah.
like escalated. Everyone was pissed off, and then it just died out. And for the next 3 hours of the trip, it was fine. And exactly the same thing coming back. Like we all got in the car, got in the highway. The car exploded with arguments, and then it died down, and we were fine. So it's the kind of hot and cold that
Yeah.
I grew up in.
All right.
Yeah. So there's my little breakdown of my relationship with the people closest to me.
Well, I appreciate it because I do find it very interesting. Like there are so many ways in which we're similar, but it's very interesting to me the dissimilarities between the way we grew up a lot of
Mhm.
times and the relationships we have, and that's always fun for me to explore. Like how did we both wind up in kind of the same place
Yeah.
when we really did do a lot of, like, we sort of started out very different and slowly moved onto a path that was more similar, and as we got older, it seems like.
You know what, man? And this is going to sound super arrogant, but I think it's because we're not dummies and we have compassion. I think those are the two things that, like, I mean, that shaped me. I mean, I
Yeah.
care about people, and I don't want to hurt anyone, and I feel like you have to kind of have that. Not that the general population wants to hurt anyone, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a level of intelligence to that, I think, and
But I think there's an empathy problem in the world for sure.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and it's been ongoing for hundreds, well, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years, but thousands of years. I mean, since people have been keeping record and tossing slaves into arenas with lions, there's been an empathy problem for a very long time with humanity.
Yeah. So empathy and thought. That's Carlos's two simple ingredients.
That's the recipe. That's the recipe for greatness.
So, Carlos, what's bringing you joy this week?
My joys this week, I have a few, but I think I'm just going to. Well, okay, I'll say my Austin visit coming up. That's a real joy. I'm looking forward to. But more recent, today I'm going to show you. I ordered this book called 12 Principles of Remote Viewing. It's a pamphlet. It's just a real
Ooh.
short little thing, but it's from a publishing house called Center Lane Books, or the Center Lane Project, which was one of the code names for maybe the first code name for the remote viewing group in the military. It had, like, I don't know, 10 different code names, but yeah, anyway, they have a publishing house called Center Lane Books, and I buy pretty much every time they publish something. I buy it just because I want to support them, and it's good stuff. I'm going to read through it, and if it's worth sending you a copy, I might do that, because it's just a little short book.
All right.
And you might it might seduce you a little bit.
All right.
So that's a joy. That's joy. I'm really looking forward. I started reading it just today. I can't imagine it's going to take long, and I'm looking forward to chewing it up. What about you? What's bringing you joy?
Yeah, it's almost it's hard to pick. There's definitely a top two, and that was being back in Yosemite. Yosemite's a place where we went a lot when I was a kid, and so I have just really fond memories. But even separate from that, it's just so gorgeous. And we got to swim in the river under El Capitan, and which is just for those people that might not know, it's just a gigantic sheer face of granite, and it's amongst these pines, and it's just amazing. And the other one is, since I've been a Superman nerd my whole life, the Superman movie. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed how they didn't shy away from the character. They really ran with him. Like, I'm not, no spoilers or anything, but like, he's just a real goody two shoes. Like they really leaned into it. Like, he says golly and gosh, and
Right.
and it works. It works. Like, it's real. It'd be real easy to have that not work. But they leaned into a lot of the best things about the character, and they didn't shy away from giving him the kind of difficulties that he needed, both physically and mentally. And for me, like, there are interesting threats that you can have to Superman, but for me, the thing that's always been attractive to Superman is just how iconically good he is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can understand why that is often not the most interesting character, because there's not necessarily a lot of nuance if on first look. But the thing that's always attracted to me about is like, if you think of yourself as Superman with his goodness or whatever, every moment, like, the mentality, the mental part is the hard part. Like, every moment that you could be saving somebody that you're not would weigh on your conscience. There's just such a responsibility and a weight, and like there's so many like mental aspects to being that character that are so attractive to me, and just trying to still be just good
Right.
in like a really complicated world is, I think, the thing that's always resonated with me about that character. And so it was really nice to just see the character done justice in a movie, because Superman movies haven't always been so good.
Yeah.
And sometimes they've veered off to make it more interesting. But
Well,
yeah,
I
I
think
really enjoyed it.
one of the things that always stuck with me with Superman was it was a choice for him to be good, because he was the most powerful being on Earth, and he could do whatever he wanted, and he chose to be good. And yeah, that always really just resonated with me. And it reminded me, I don't want to go down a tangent here, but have you seen the movie Brightburn?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's a
have.
good one.
It's
Okay.
real good. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
yeah,
like that's the anti-Superman, where the kid, just so
exactly.
anyone knows, where the kid discovers that he has powers and he goes bad.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Is that Sam Raimi, or
I think
I
it
don't
is
know.
Sam Raimi. Yeah, I think it is.
But yeah, it's yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I've always been into Superman. Less like I didn't read the comics as much, but just more as a thought experience, as an icon of like that goodness and that choice to be good, like you're talking about that, and the choice to try and be your best is just always been something that really struck a chord with me. So
Right.
yeah, I was really happy to see my guy get his due.
You know what's funny about Superman? I remember in '93 when they killed him. With the whole like
Yeah,
death of
yeah.
Superman. I remember. I don't know. One of my mother's friends was like, "Oh, it's a marketing gimmick. Like they'll bring him back." I'm like, "No, he's dead. Like he's not coming back." And of course they bring him back. But man, they not only did they bring him back, they did exactly what they meant to, because they sucked me. I wasn't a DC fan before that,
Right.
and it just sucked me right into DC. They got all these good writers. They got all these good artists. The fucking print on their comics was like got 10 times better. They just like
Yeah.
they became to life once they killed Superman. It was really, really smart. That's the end of my comic book nerdisms.
I know. I could go on for ages, but I think for the sympathy to anybody that's still listening. Stop.
Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Monday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, or Facebook. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back.
Ciao. Bye-bye.